Hey guys, Humble back again. I have been using the Galaxy S23 for 4 weeks and here is my review. We'll start up with the design because this is what people are going to see first when they look at the Galaxy S23. They're going to wonder what is the difference compared to the S22. Biggest difference is they just got rid of the camera module right around the edges here, so now you get a nice clean design. It looks similar to the S23 Ultra. It is a 6.1 inch display, super easy to use with one hand. You can take it in and out of your pocket easily without having to worry about dropping it. I feel like when I'm using the S23 and holding it with one hand, I always feel like I'm in control. And never at any point I feel like I'm going to drop it on the floor or anything like that, or on my face when I'm laying in the bed. Compared to Galaxy S23 Ultra, every time I'm holding it, it just feels like I'm holding a giant brick in my hand. I need to cradle with two hands just to be safe. It's a lot more daunting to hold on a day-to-day basis. So if you are looking for a compact phone, the S23 is the way to go. And if you look under the hood here, the next biggest change you're going to see is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip. It's probably the biggest upgrade that you can't physically see, but you can feel it when you're using the phone. It is just super fast, super efficient, and as a result, it leads to a much better battery life compared to the Galaxy S22 last year, and also a pretty smooth experience all around when using this phone. It has great standby time, can easily last me more than a day of work. On average, I get about 12 hours of battery life compared to the 8 to 9 I was getting on the S22, even when I was barely using that phone. And there are days where it can last 13 to 26 hours, depending on how much or little I use my phone. In terms of screen on time, I get about 3 to 4 hours, and that's just based on my usage. Most of my days I am working, so I'm not on my phone 8 to 9 hours a day, so I will never achieve that screen on time. For the most part, it is on standby. But there are weekend days where I'm on my phone a lot, doing a lot of YouTube, playing some gamings, and if I need it, I know it does have the capability to get up to 5 or 6 hours of screen on time. But if you are on your screen that much, it will result in a lower overall battery life. During those days, I notice I will only get about 9 to 10 hours of battery in total if I'm on my phone a lot. So it all depends on your usage style, and it does come equipped with 25 watt fast charging, so you can charge your phone 0 to 100% in about an hour. It is not the fastest 80 to 100 watt that OnePlus have to offer, but I think it is sufficient enough. It's still fast charging, but it's not that fast. It shouldn't degrade your battery over time. My only complaint is the charger is still not included in the box anymore. It is super disappointing. I'm still glad that OnePlus is still including the 80 watt fast charger. Just be mindful of that. If you don't have any charging brick around, be prepared to spend another $20 to $25 to grab one of these 25 watt fast charging brick. If not, you can just use your old cables that you have around. It will just take a lot longer if they are not capable of 25 watt fast charging. And the S23 in general, with this new chip, it is pretty cool for the most part. Even going back to the few years, the S21, I remember when I was using that, it was just burning hot for no reason at all. I just go on a day-to-day basis. I noticed the S21 does get really hot. I think I remember putting an ice cube on the back of it just to see how quickly it'll melt at one point. And with the S22, it gets hot with camera usage as well. So I remember experiencing that when I was traveling on vacation last year in New Orleans. So usually when I'm on vacation, I do a lot of videos and photos, and I can feel the S22 noticeably get warmer. This year with the S23, however, it is pretty good. The only time that I notice it does get a little warm is when I use it on a wireless charger for a prolonged period of time, 2 to 3 hours. You pick it up, you do notice the phone get a little warm. It is never to the point that it is concerning though, but it's something I did want to point out. But even prolonged gaming, there are some days where I game 5 to 6 hours, not straight, but at least an hour or so straight. And those days, the phone doesn't really get warm or anything for me, which is a good sign. Because when I was using the Google Pixel 7 Pro, it does get warm after 15 to 20 minutes. And the S23 does a pretty good job of keeping up there. But OnePlus in general does an excellent job with gaming as well. When I use those phones for gaming or even recording videos for long periods of time with OnePlus, it does not get hot or warm at all, which is surprising. And the S23 is loaded with features such as Samsung DeX, which I never use except for demonstration purposes. But if you go into the settings, you dig around to the phone, if you're into tinkering and looking for additional features, there's so many things buried under the hood. If you look, you shall find, my friend. They got those magic eraser functions similar to Google. Yeah, so many different settings, all those AR doodle, whatever you want to do is very deep in there. Bixby is actually pretty useful. I know people always make fun of Bixby, but I really do enjoy the Bixby routine that I have set up. So with routines, you can just set up to automate your everyday tasks. For me, I have it set up so every time I hop into my car, it recognizes that my Bluetooth is connected to the car. And then it puts my phone on silent. It launches a Google Maps application. It plays music in the background. So all that happens simultaneously every single time I just go into my car and turn on my engine. I don't even need to worry about, oh, I need to open this app, I need to open this app, and setting up for a couple minutes if everything is done automatically without me thinking about it. Super helpful and efficient. So little things like that Samsung does a really good job of. I don't think they really advertise it, but I really do enjoy their routine function. And I have a bedtime routine as well, usually around 9 p.m. or so. I have it set up between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. My phone just goes on silent, the screen get dimmed, and it just helps me just cool down and get ready for bed. There are times where I would fall asleep and I forget to silent my phone. Someone sent a random text in the middle of the night and wakes me up, super annoying. But now with Bixby routine, everything is automatic. My phone just gets silent after 9 p.m. and I don't even need to worry about it. It turns back on automatically, so I don't have to worry about my phone being on silent during the day and me missing out on notification. So really cool stuff there. And Samsung have always been known for their excellent cameras. It takes great videos. By default, it is set to 30 frames per second for video recording at Full HD. I finally changed the setting to 60 frames per second just to test it out. I don't really mess around a lot with these settings, but every now and then I do tinker a little bit. It does have 4K video recording and also 8K, which I haven't even tried yet after a month of using this phone, even though I do a lot of content creation. In general, I find that big files take longer to edit. I don't really notice that much of a difference when I'm looking at the phone. Maybe on a computer you can tell the difference, but I'll test it out at some point on maybe day 36 or going forward. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out my daily videos on these. I drop a video every single day just to document my daily life, real life review with the Galaxy S23. And the S23 takes some awesome night photos, and even zooming at night is pretty good. Here's some shots in my car, me just sitting, taking pictures for fun. And from where I'm sitting, I cannot read any of these signs, so I'm zooming into 20 or 30x and I can read it pretty clearly. Even like the CVS sign here looks pretty good. And overall, I'm impressed with the night photos with this phone. So you're gonna get some excellent pictures there. You do a lot of photos in dim lighting areas. It takes awesome day photos as well and videos. I record most of my videos on my Galaxy phone, so this is no exception here. Even this current video is recorded, like I mentioned earlier, on the S23. And you take a picture of landscape and scenes, it would do an excellent job. The biggest flaw that I found with this phone is the depth of field issue whenever you're taking close-up photos. And I had to do some digging into this. I'm not a camera expert by any means, but I'm going to do my best to explain the depth of field problem with this phone. In general, when I'm taking photo, only like the middle part of the area is in focus, while the outer area, like the edges of photos, are not in focus. And I think the problem and limitation is just in the hardware itself, not the software. I don't think this can be fixed with a software update. But it's kind of ironic, with the bigger camera sensor, there's less focus on the subject the closer you are. While if you have a smaller camera sensor, the closer you get, you can get a better focus. So it's kind of ironic because Samsung did put a bigger sensor on this phone, and it's great for taking all these videos and all these different situations, but when you're taking close-up photos, you will notice that the depth of field is a bit weird and you're not able to take a full picture of a close object without the edges looking blurry. It may just be physics and there's not much you can do about it, or don't take close-up photos. Yeah, so that's me just doing some digging on why some of the close-up photos are blurry with these Galaxy S23. But I think most normal people won't know that or wouldn't research it. It took me a while to even do some research on it as well. Me personally, when I'm using a phone, I just like to snap a picture, and then if it's good or not, I'll just tell you if it's good or not. And if it's blurry, I'll tell you it's blurry. If it's not, I'll tell you not. It is not. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure what Samsung can do to fix this, but I did not notice this issue on the S23 Ultra or any of the Pixel phone. Maybe they just have smaller camera sensors so the up close photos look better. But I guess Samsung is trading it for all the night photos, the photos from far away, great video recording and everything like that. So just be aware of that. When you're taking close-up photos with the S23, you are going to see some blurry images around the edges just because it has a bigger sensor and the focus does get a bit weird as you get closer. In terms of display, you are getting a full HD 1080p display on the S23, which is worse than a Quad HD on the Galaxy S20 from 3 years ago for the base model. Bet you didn't see that one coming. But when the S20 was first released, it cost $1,000 compared to the S23 today. It is $800 for the base model. Quad HD I think is an overkill on a 6.1 inch screen anyway, so I'm fine with it. The S20 was actually a little bit bigger at 6.2 inches. And I know Samsung has been sneakily removing away features ever since the S21. I know the S21, they made the back of the phone plastic. People were not happy about that compared to the premium glass material on the S20. I mean, plastic is more durable, but people are paying for expensive phone. They want the expensive material regardless, even though glass can shatter if you drop it. Then they reverted back to premium materials on the S22 and the S23. And they also took away micro SD over the last few years, which I am slightly annoyed about. But at the same time, I think 128 gigabyte is pretty sufficient, or even 256 gigabyte. If you need additional storage, and just get some Google Cloud storage or something like that to back it up. The display itself has 120 Hz refresh rate. This is pretty common with a lot of high-end flagship phone these days. Although on the iPhone, I believe you don't really get the high refresh rate until you get the Pro model. So you do have advantage here with Samsung on the base model with the high refresh rate. 1750 nits bright peak nits when you're using this phone outside. So you're not going to have any issue viewing it under the sun or anything like that. And this is the same as its two bigger brothers that cost $1,000 and $1,200. S23 had Gorilla Glass Victus 2, so super strong and durable glass. If you ever drop it, it is less likely to shatter. It is not shatterproof, but it is stronger than the previous years. Fingerprint sensor, in theory, it is super fast and efficient when you hit it at the 100% correct spot, but you just miss it by a little bit. I notice I always need to try to unlock it multiple times. I think because I keep missing the sensor, they might have made it too small. People did recommend I can try registering the same finger 4 to 5 times. That way I can capture all the different angles. But I think Samsung only allows you to register 4 fingers max, whether you do 1 finger 4 times or 4 different fingers. I prefer to do the 4 different fingers and just rely on the smart lock, the body lock, face unlock, and hopefully I wouldn't need to mess around with the fingerprint sensor if I don't have to. But for the most part, it is fast and efficient. It's just a little small, so you may find yourself having to try a few times until you actually hit it. Audio on this phone is pretty good for a small phone. It is a stereo speaker, pretty standard over the last few years. If you want a better speaker, get a bigger phone with the S23 Ultra, but you need to pay more. But then at that point, you really need super loud speakers on your smartphone. You can just get a Bluetooth speakers or connect it to something else. But it does the job for me. I listen to music in the shower. I'm not blasting it to 100% all day or anything like that. Software-wise, you are getting Android 13 with monthly updates, which is much faster than many years ago, where you would take a while to get any update. But now Samsung update their phone for the most part monthly, and then any weird software bugs, anything like that, they do tend to fix it. You get 4 years of software updates and 5 years of security update. This is an extra year compared to the Google Pixel 7, who owns Android. So kudos to Samsung there for going the extra mile. Alright guys, there you have it. And so here's the verdict on the S23. $800, I think it is pricey for a base model. but I think the higher price is justified compared to the OnePlus 11 at the $700 range. I do think you are getting a better camera in the Galaxy S23, much better video recording, and you are getting a much better chip and battery life and extra year of support compared to the Google Pixel 7. So you're looking for a nice, powerful, compact phone in 2023, I wouldn't hesitate to spend the $800 on the Galaxy S23. Although I would wait for a sale though. These phones do go on sale pretty often. So you'll find it at $700 to $600. I think it is worth it if you are a fan of small phones. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please check out my daily videos like I mentioned earlier on my day 35 in the life of this phone. I have done a bunch of these from day 1 all the way up to 35. I'm actually going to Hawaii at the end of this week, so look forward to using this phone, testing it out in Hawaii. Hopefully provide you guys with some beautiful pictures and videos, sceneries as I go. And I'll document my experience with using this phone while being on vacation. Okay, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.